What's up guys, this is Biz back again with another SMOD Mapadd tutorial video. Today we're going to start actually getting into like what I would consider the 102 series of Mapadd videos. We're going to start doing stuff that's a little more complex, not just light something on fire or something like that. And today we're going to be looking at instant triggers and some lesser known and lesser used values, and we're also going to be looking at a modifier that you can place on almost any entity when you're doing map ads. So let's get right into it. We're in SMOD 40A, and we're on D1 Town 05. This is the map where you come up out of the Ravenholm mine shaft right before the coast. And I was actually asked pretty recently. I did an explanation on this in the Discord server. But I was asked again by One Man Show about how to make this happen. So he was wondering, hey, if we have a sniper up in a window, you know, the famous Half-Life 2 snipers, wouldn't it be cool if when you tossed a grenade in and blew them up, wouldn't it be cool if instead of just the body flying out, if also their sniper rifle had a chance to fly out? And I thought, hey, that's a pretty cool idea, so let's make a video about it. So let me restart the map here. And I'm going to stop the music, because it's kind of loud. And the first thing we're going to want to do is come over here to our sniper. I think I forgot to wake him up. There he is. Okay, and what we want to do is get his name. Now, normally you do something like int name. But I've noticed this guy, and I actually have it bound to a key, so I'm not going to type it in the console every time. You know, I found that it's really hard to actually get his name. So I want to show you another way that sometimes I will do this. There's another command here called Modifier. And what that does is it's used to send commands to entities in the map. But one of the nice things about it is that when you type it in, it actually auto-populates with every single entity in the map. So if we assume that Valve maybe named it something like Sniper, then it should pop right up. So this is kind of a cool way to find the names of entities. So let's just do ent name Sniper1 and see if this is our guy. And yeah, it looks like it is. So again, getting the target name is going to be crucial for what we want to do here. Now, let's go ahead and open up our Mapadd file. We're here, as you can see, on D1 Town 05. And this is going to be pretty quick and easy, but we're going to cover a lot of ground. So let's jump right into the entity section here. We'll just carve out a little space. And we're going to want to create ourselves an instant trig for a trigger. Now, normally we'd have like an origin here, and then our key values. Let's just say our origin is like 000 or something. And then we have our key values, and we do a radius, you know, of like 100 units. That's a typical trigger, and you're going to see a lot of them. Like you can see here, there's one. SMOD already has one here. But we're actually going to do a different type of trigger today, and we don't need a radius, and we don't need an origin. And we're not doing a trigger on a timer or anything. We're actually going to use something called isLived. And this is a key value that checks for a specific entity to see if it's alive. So in this case, we want our trigger to check for Sniper1. And what this is going to do now is it's kind of an expensive operation, but really not too bad. What it does is every second it's going to see is Sniper1 alive. If the answer is yes, then nothing happens. But if the answer is no, then it's going to, the trigger is going to fire off and do something. And what we want it to do is we want it to call a new labeled group, and we'll just go ahead and name that Sniper Weapon or Sniper1 Weapon Spawn. Okay. So again, when Sniper1 dies, this trigger says, uh-oh, it's not alive, and then it's going to call this a new entity group called Sniper Weapon 1, or Sniper1 Weapon Spawn. So let's get out of our entity section. We'll come down here. You can see we've got a labeled group here. Let's go ahead and make sure we're not inside any other group, and we'll go ahead and make a new labeled group called Sniper 1 Weapon Spawn. Okay, so here's our new group of entities that gets called when the sniper dies. And we're going to want to go ahead and spawn a weapon SVD. And let's actually go back into the game here. Now, if you open up your console and do ent create, if we do weapon SVD, we can see, hey, there's the SVD, so that's what we want to spawn. Now we're gonna need to get an origin for the weapon, so let's come up here and we'll just kind of line ourselves up in this window about where the sniper's beam starts, and open the console, and we'll do impulse 90. And we're going to want to get our eye position and eye origin. So I'm going to copy those. Let's come back into our Mapadd here, and we'll just paste that in. Now, of course, we can't have it say eye position. That's not going to work. And generally speaking, in these maps, when you're thinking about direction, it's going to be the Y coordinate. So if you're thinking north or south or east or west, that's Y coordinate. And generally the X coordinate here, which we had as 8, is usually looking when you look straight up, like at the sun, or straight down at the ground. So I might have been tilted a little bit. We'll just change that to 0. Okay, so let's actually save it. And we'll pop back into the game and restart. And I'm gonna stop the music here. Let's come over and just see if this works. So we'll pick up a grenade and toss it up in here. And he's dead, and if you look right here, we actually did the Mapadd hit trigger Sniper 1 weapon spawn. Very nice. And in fact, if you look in the window, boom, there is the SVD. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I thought the grenade would toss it out of the window, and that's not really true, because by the time it explodes and kills him, that's when the weapon is spawned. So we're actually going to use a modifier on the SVD to apply some force to it when it spawns. And to do that, we need to make sure that we have our position showing on the map, and that is CL show position 1, POS 1, just as a little bit of a refresher. So set that, and that'll give you those white numbers up in the top right corner with your position, your angle, and your velocity. So what we need to do first is we got to figure out which way we want the gun to move. Now we want it to move out of this window, so if we stand in the window and then start moving forward, it should be pretty easy to see which numbers are moving. And it looks like it's the X is going the most, so we're probably moving on the X coordinate. And we're at 11,000 here, and if we move forward, well, now we're at 10, now we're at -9, now we're at -8. So it looks like we're adding on the X coordinate. So let's go back to our Mapadd here. And we'll go into our weapon SVD. And we'll add something called velocity. This is a modifier. And it works just like this with the X, a Y, and a Z vector. Now our Z, which we don't really need anything for that, and we don't want any velocity applied on our Y vector either, but on the Z, let's do, like, I don't know, maybe how about 220? So when the weapon spawns, it's going to apply 220 force on the X vector, and it will, or not force, but movement, I should say, or velocity, and that should propel the gun out of the window. Now, this velocity modifier, I mean, you can put this on anything. I'm not sure if it'll work on a citizen, but you could apply it, and it always goes outside of the key value section. So for example, like here's something, you would always put it here. You wouldn't put it inside this key values area if you were going to do this. And this is a custom, this is not in like Half-Life 2, this is a custom key value modifier command for SMOD only. So again, here's our SVD. We have it spawning up in the window, and now we're going to apply 220 velocity to it. So let's go ahead and make sure you save your Mapadd file, and we'll restart the map here. Very good. And actually, let's turn off the music again. And we'll just zip right over here. Oops, I forgot to wake the sniper up, I think. There he is. And let's try this again. Now, toss our grenade up. And yeah, there it is. So now we've added just enough velocity to kind of get it out the window. And that worked pretty good. You might notice there's a slight delay. And the reason for that is that, let's go back to our Mapadd here. This is lived command. It checks only on every second. So if you trigger this like between 2 seconds, then you're gonna have you could have up to like 9/10 of a second delay. It's not perfect, but in this instance, we're trading that perfect timing for simplicity. Now we can make it happen the second that the sniper dies, but it's going to be a little more complex. So again, this is intermediate level stuff. It's not going to be perfect, but it's a cool way to add a new feature. Now, one of the other things that I was asked about was, what if we don't want this to happen every time you kill a sniper? What if we want it to be like a random chance? And that's a good idea. And using this method, that's also very easy to achieve. So come up here to our instant trigger, our isLive trigger. And in our label section, we have it spawning our label. Let's go ahead and we'll just add a colon at the end of that. And we'll paste in the same label, except this time, instead of weapon spawn, we'll call it something like weapon null. And if you watched previous videos, I mentioned that somebody on the forum finally deciphered what this does. And if you put a colon between two different labeled entity groups in a trigger, it'll actually randomly select between the two. So now we have our label that spawns the weapon, and then we have one that we called null, which doesn't exist. So when this trigger goes off now, it's going to pick between one of these two, and it's either going to choose to spawn the one, or it's going to try to spawn some labeled group that doesn't exist, meaning nothing happens. So essentially, now we've created a like 50-50 chance for the weapon to spawn. And you can do this as much as you want. If you wanted to add another spawning group, well, now you've got 2 out of 3. You know, so now you got like a 66% chance for it to spawn. And you can kind of tweak it from there. So that's a real easy way to kind of add a random chance to this thing. So let's go ahead, we'll try it out. We'll just see real quick. Let's flip back over to the game. Now we have a 50-50 chance of it spawning, so let's restart. And I'm just going to fly over here very quickly. We'll chuck the grenade up and we'll see what happens. So yeah, you see we hit the sniper 1 weapon null Mapadd. It randomly selected that one. And there's no gun. So now you have kind of a random chance of it happening. So I hope you guys enjoyed. We kind of covered a lot of ground, but hopefully that kind of illustrates, hey, how would you make the sniper gun spawn and then also have a random chance? See, this time we hit the sniper weapon spawn, but I think it got stuck in the window. No, maybe not. There it is, yeah. So see, now we've added a random element too, and it was just that easy, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.